May the best brand win with Scott Robertson's Music Biz Marketing Strategies. Now, here's your host, Scott Robertson.
Yeah. Happy Friday, everybody. You are tuned to May the Best Brand Win right here on Intertalk Radio, the undisputed leader in music biz talk. And I am Scott Robertson, your host, and dare I say, barbecue grill master. And with me on the air today, here is the man back in the Intertalk studios making it all work, and that's Paul B. How are you, Paul?
Good. Hello.
You got any big plans for the fourth weekend? Gonna have some fun?
I'm performing actually tomorrow at the San Diego the fair, the Del Mar Fair.
All right.
With a bunch of cats that deluded themselves into thinking that I'm a jazz player.
Okay.
And can hang with them, so I'm gonna do my best.
You're like Girl from Ipanema in C. Let's do this thing. Hey, so did you? Are you playing on the Coors Light stage there? That's where my band was a couple weeks ago.
I think it's a small stage. It's not the main stage. It's one of the side stages. I forgot what it's called.
Nice.
Which is fine by me because I was away for like the past week and a half and barely got any rehearsal, so I'm not ready for the main stage there just yet.
Well, jazz is the art of improv.
Yeah.
So you can just fall back on that.
Sure.
Consistently.
I'm pretty okay at winging it.
Nice, man. Nice. Well, everybody in listener land, go out and see Paul B and his band in the at the Del Mar Fair, at the San Diego Fair this weekend. Cool. And if you have a question for me, you can email me at scott@robertsoncom.com. That's the name of my company. And I will answer anything right on this show. You can also find my posts, my client news clips, all kinds of tidbits, musings about the marketing world at large on my Robertson.com Facebook page, which is just, as you might imagine, facebook.com/RobertsonCom, or Twitter @RobertsonCom. See how it all fits together? It's like a marketing strategy. Reach out and connect with me. You'll be entertained. Hopefully you'll get a few tips and tricks too. Today on The Big Show, we are talking about mastering trade shows and special events. Las Vegas was created for one very powerful and one very sinful reason: to host large trade shows. No, just kidding. But the greatest sin of all is when companies pay a bunch of money to participate, to exhibit at shows, and they leave opportunity, yes, and money right on the table, kind of like a Kit Kat in a bowl for the snatching. And in this week's episode, we're going to dive deep into trade shows and special events from a marketing perspective and give you some tips on how you can make the most of them. We'll also talk about who's winning and losing in the wild world of marketing and communications. So get on ready, and we'll dig right into this thing. So let's talk about trade shows. So I'll just do my definition first. I always like to do that. Most people know what it is, but let's agree on the definition as an exhibition organized so that companies in a specific industry can showcase and demonstrate their latest products and services. They can meet with industry partners, study the activities of rivals. I love that one. That's pretty funny. And examine the recent market trends and opportunities. Now, that's the reason that they exist. But the real reason that trade shows exist is that we like to meet each other. Human beings like to meet each other face to face. We like to see things face to face. We like to be face to face. We're a face to face sort of people, right? So that's really it's important to know that when you're talking about trade shows. It's really the art and science of mastering your up close interpersonal communications. Trade shows have been around for a long time. In fact, according to trade show expert, and we'll assume for our purposes in this show he is an expert, Robert B. Konikow, in his book Exhibit Design, he wrote a book, so he must be an expert. The exhibit industry, he says, can trace its roots back to the ancient bazaars of the Middle East. He also says that trade fairs are linked to late medieval Europe during the period of merchant capitalism. And during this era, farmers and craftsmen traveled to a variety of locales to display and sell their offerings at open market trade fairs. And during the 1700s, exhibitions became somewhat commonplace in Europe and North America. Sometimes at NAMM, we used to deal with Messe Frankfurt, a large trade show organization in Germany, in Frankfurt, Germany. And they do everything from medical trade shows to farming equipment to music. They own the fairgrounds, and they bring all these different trade shows through there. And when we talk with those executives, and talk about trade shows, they have a very long view of trade shows because their company has existed for hundreds and hundreds of years. The Messe of Frankfurt can trace its roots back into some of those deep roots that we're talking about. So they sort of, it sort of benefits them because they can talk about sort of the long, they say every few years somebody says that trade shows are going to be dying out and replaced by something, and they just kind of laugh and say, well, throughout all of human society, they've pretty much been trade shows, so it's a pretty good bet that trade shows aren't going anywhere. But some people, what's interesting about that is that some people do think that every once in a while there'll be an article. We always saw that at NAMM, that people would say, "Oh, trade shows are dying. Trade show attendance is going down. It's not." It's going to be replaced by the internet and by virtual trade shows and by different, smaller traveling road shows and that kind of stuff. No, it's not. Let me do a spoiler alert for you right here. Trade shows are really alive and well. According to Trade Show News Network, 13,000 events were held annually in the U.S. and Canada, and there were about 10. If you want to see that breakdown on that, about 10,000 of those were B2B, business-to-business type shows, and about 3,000 were B2C. Now, PricewaterhouseCoopers did a much more in-depth survey recently that was released in 2015, and they say that there were approximately 284,600 conventions and conferences and shows with more than 87 million attendees. So I'm going to say that trade shows are healthy. If you have 300,000 events going on, you're probably doing pretty well. As a trade show industry. I really like trade shows. I like meeting with people face to face. I think that there is something that happens when you meet with people, when you show people your products face to face, that cannot happen on Skype or virtual reality or video conferencing or anything else. There is something about us being face to face together that is sort of unquantifiable and powerful, extremely powerful. So, what is the role of PR and communications, in trade shows? That's really what we're going to explore and delve into today. PR and communications role, first of all, is to make sure that the company has a successful trade show. Trade shows are about presenting your exhibition, right? And that's a communications function to do that. So communications needs to be involved in what message are we sending? What does our booth say? How easy is it to find us? How easy is it to get here? What are we launching? There are a lot of different questions that happen on the exhibition side, of a trade show. But it always begins, like everything in communications does, with a plan and a desired outcome. If I saw one thing in my years of working at NAMM, I saw a lot of people who spent a lot of money on trade shows and did not understand what their own desired outcome was. Well, I think I'll just go there and I'll set up my booth and I'll kind of see what happens. That's not a good idea. That is not a good way to do this. What you want to do is do a lot more thinking around the idea of why are we doing this? How is it pushing our brand forward? Or do we have a product launch? And really have a lot of thinking and a written plan, not just a plan that is in someone's head, but an actual written plan that says this is what we're going to try to accomplish. Because then you can go back afterwards when the trade show calls you and says, do you want space for next year? You don't want to say, I had fun. I saw Brittany. That was awesome. Brittany was smoking. Your list of was the trade show successful should include more than, I had a really good dinner at Outback Steakhouse and I saw Britney Spears, So make sure that you have that, that plan, that very important plan. Again, PR agencies like mine love trade shows. We love trade shows because we have the opportunity to, get face to face with the media, to get some access that we don't normally get. Back in the day, in the 90s, companies used to, fly PR agencies around, and you could sit down with editors, and you could have sort of these desk side chats and show all these different, especially in the technology space, you could show all your technology products and sort of mimic the role of a trade show face to face. However, here in the new world, that is 2016, That almost never happens. It doesn't happen because the companies don't want to do it. It happens because the editors don't have time to do it. You have much fewer editors trying to get out a lot more content much more quickly than they ever had before, and they simply don't have time to meet with you, as a rule. So a lot of those desk side chat things, don't happen as much anymore. So that brings us to trade shows and special events, and sometimes special events at trade shows, which can be, doubly powerful. Love that. So let's say you're in the music industry, you're thinking about exhibiting at the NAMM show, you think you've got something great. The first conversation that you want to have is, what is our message? Because that guides everything. That absolutely guides everything. You want to say, what is our brand message? If you're lucky enough to have your message mapped out already and you kind of know what your brand is and that kind of thing, then this part becomes really easy. It's just another tactic. Well, this is just another way for us to push our message in a really powerful way at the trade show. We're going to use our slogan. We're going to create, banners. We're going to create our marketing collateral around this. We're going to exhibit our instruments in a certain way. We're going to try to be in some speaking opportunities so we can speak around on these kind of things, and we can really maximize, what we're doing in trade shows. Unfortunately, that isn't the case. It doesn't always happen that way. And when we come back in segment 2, we're going to talk about a few stories, right from the field, and talk a little bit about Summer NAMM, which I recently got back from, and talk about trade shows and special events when we come back right here on May the Best Brand Win on Intertalk Radio, the undisputed leader on Music Biz Talk. We'll see you in a couple minutes.
Are you serious about your music? Are you ready to run with the big dogs? The experts at Pitbull Audio have the gear to get you into the game. From leading manufacturers like Mesa Boogie, Fender, Pioneer, and American Audio. To sound your best, you need the best. Pitbull Audio can deliver in rehearsal, on stage, and into the big time. Dropping beats, shredding guitar, or making the crowd roar. Whatever you dream, Pitbull Audio can help make it happen. We are Pitbull Audio. We want you to play it loud. PitbullAudio.com.
Have you ever wondered what it's like to record on a Grammy award-winning album? Have you ever wondered what it's like to play in front of a stadium crowd? Have you ever wondered what it's like to be on a world tour? I'm Jackie Bertoni, and I've played with the who's who in the music industry, and I've toured the world. Come join my world, behind the velvet rope, and get into the groove on Jackie's Groove. Live 2 p.m. Mondays and available 24/7 on jackiesgroove.com.
Hey, it's Catherine from Listen Local Radio. Moe's Guitars has proudly served the San Diego music community since 1975. Specializing in guitars, basses, mandolins, banjos, and ukuleles, they buy, sell, trade, and consign. If you're looking for lessons, repairs, accessories, and cool gear, you found the right place. Located in downtown La Mesa Village, stop by and check out their digs or visit moesguitars.com or their Facebook page. mozeguitars.com, 619-698-1185.
Hi, I'm Tim Dolbear, the host of Sound Experience on Intertalk Radio. Each week, I talk with top professional audio engineers, producers, musicians, and the manufacturers that make the tools that we use in the studio each and every day. From capturing the perfect take to mastering your final release, and the tools and how the pros use them, we are going to dive deep into their process and learn from their experience. I look forward to you joining us each week on Sound Experience with me, your host, Tim Dolbear.
Which sandwich is healthy and tasty? Which sandwich can come on bread or in a bowl? Which sandwich comes 51 different ways, so it's always your way? A which sandwich. Stop into our shop in Hazard Center. We're upstairs from the Hazard Center Digiplex. Bring in your movie ticket. We will add a free drink and chips to your sandwich order. Or order online at which.com, and we will have it ready and waiting. WHICH, which.com.
Has your business been appified? Are you tired of doing marketing that doesn't deliver results? Mobile apps build loyalty and quality retention. Your app from UPG Mobile puts your business on their mind and at their fingertips. UPG Mobile will give you a custom app highlighting how you are unique, targeting your message, and improving your open rates. Appify your business and amplify your presence with your customers at upgmobilemarketinggroup.com.
May the best brand win with Scott Robertson's Music Biz Marketing Strategies. Now, here's your host, Scott Robertson.
Happy Friday. You are back with May the Best Brand Win right here on Intertalk Radio, the undisputed leader in music biz talk. I am Scott Robertson, your host. With me still here on the air is Paul B, getting ready for his jazz gig tomorrow.
I'm
How's
here.
it going, Paul?
Pretty good.
Yeah? So, did you get some of that feed coming back from Summer NAMM with us, or no? Did you hear some of that?
Yeah, a little bit. I was actually I hit up the Sweetwater Gear Fest a few days before.
Oh,
before
yeah.
That was pretty fun too. I didn't get to spend a whole lot of time there, just one day, and then I had to boogie. But that was pretty fun as well.
Nice, yeah. Talk about special events. That one's working really well for Sweetwater. And,
yeah,
it's a well attended.
Yeah. It was very busy spot. Even it's not as huge as I haven't been to Nashville NAMM. I don't know how big that was. It's
about a third of the size.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about Summer NAMM for a second. So we're back talking about trade shows. In the first segment, we talked about. What are they? How long have they been going? Are they dying? And we pretty much realized that the numbers are showing that they're very, very strong. Back in our own industry here in the music products industry, they're very healthy. And NAMM just put on a very healthy Summer NAMM show. I did not see the final attendance numbers, but it was it looked like to be very crowded, and certainly they sold more exhibit space, which is something a trade show producer always wants to be doing. Always want to see that needle moving up. But, Summer NAMM in Nashville is about a third of the size of the Winter NAMM show if you haven't had a chance to get out to it. I thought it was a really good show. I really I saw some really cool things. A couple of things that I might even, possibly be Robertson Com clients, in the future. I always have go out on the show floor and kind of look for what cool things, might be a story and might be underrepresented and there might be a fit there. I was there for my client Taylor Guitars, and Taylor had a fantastic show. They introduced the 700 series, redo of the 700 series, which was, just fantastic, and people really liked it. Their booth was busy and people playing all the time, and it was they had this kind of skybox that was over the top of the convention center, kind of oversaw the main trade show floor, which was nice, and you can kind of see everybody what they were doing up there. From a media perspective, we did about 30 media interviews during the course of 3 days, so it was pretty packed. We did a lot of video shooting, a lot of with Premier Guitar and Guitar Player and things like that, and that's really what you can do. Again. They bring their video crews and their writers and their editors, to the show. And if you're savvy about public relations, you can connect with them, earn your way into a story and get a lot of really solid media coverage right out of the show. One question that I always used to get, at NAMM was, how does one company just kind of steal the show? How does one company win? And of course, my tagline, starting my company, is "May the best brand win." So I should probably know how to do that. And I have some thoughts on that. I don't think there's one way to do it, first of all, but I do think that there are some things you can do to sort of own the show, which is a term that kind of became popular in Comdex, CES, technology companies coming in and going, well, how do we become the news and the thing of the show? I certainly think where that starts is having a great story, is having something that's truly good, truly new, that you're unveiling, hopefully for the first time, because then if the media have already covered it, they just can't cover it again. You're going to have to come up with something a little better than that. So how you win is you take advantage of the opportunities that as presented to you by the trade show producer. You're paying to be there. Your company is paying to be there, so you certainly are afforded the opportunities to, to work with trade show management, and make sure that they are helping you have a very successful show. At the NAMM show, doing the media preview day is a very good idea. If you're going to be an exhibitor at the upcoming NAMM show, you should submit your products to NAMM for the media preview day. They don't get enough submissions for it. And they're always looking for more because they want to know what's going to be the next very cool thing that the media are going to flock to and get excited about at the show, whether it's air drums that, play with triggers and you just kind of play in the air and it triggers sounds like I saw last year, or new types of musical instruments, or, apps for the iPad and the iPhone and Android, and all of those things. Whether it's all those kind of things, usually those things are found in Media Preview Day. I actually started Media Preview Day at the NAMM show, and I stole it unapologetically from Comic-Con and from other shows. Saw that CES had Media Preview Day was getting a lot of advanced breaks on its trade show, and from the seat of public relations, and marketing director for NAMM, we thought, hey, we want some of that. We want to make sure that we're getting our exhibitors coverage, and we saw that the media really like to scoop each other and like to get in on a preview kind of operation. So NAMM does a Media Preview Day. So make sure that you submit for that. When you're an exhibitor, ask NAMM about Media Preview Day, and make sure you're asking and getting your submission in on time with good pictures and everything else so that you have the opportunity to be covered. Don't forget about the show daily. I talk to the show daily folks all the time at trade shows, and they say, God, people don't send us news always. And, you would think they would, but they don't. This is your opportunity. Put a news release together. Make sure that you have good photos. It's a visual world out there. Send in your release, months in advance. If your stuff is going to be under embargo, just put, under embargo, just for the show daily. Make sure that that folks know that, add that into your PR strategy. It is free. It is free. It is free. If you don't do it, I can't imagine why you're not doing it. I can't imagine. There's no good reason not to do that. Make sure you're doing that. So the way you win is you're in on the media from a PR perspective. You're in on, the Media Preview Day. Your stuff is in the show daily. Maybe if you have multiple news announcements, maybe you're in multiple days of the show daily. That could be good. You've reached out to the media. You're getting good media traffic. You're leveraging the show as a platform to tell your story through the media. And then of course you're following up post show maybe with product reviews or additional stories. That's speaking opportunities. Maybe you're a speaker at the show. Then you're everywhere. You want to create this presence that your company's brand is everywhere at this trade show. They're speaking, they're part of, maybe mentioned in the keynote if you have something really, dramatic and that works for your particular trade show. They've been talked about in the Media Preview Day. They're in the show daily. You just can't seem to escape your company, right? And you see companies like that do that. That is a strategy and a structure. To be able to own the show is not luck. It does not happen by accident. It is definitely putting all the pieces on the chessboard so that you can kind of play them. I have a lot of stories from the field from trade shows. But before I started working at NAMM, I worked for this company that was introducing a new kind of personal computer at the CES show. And they didn't want to show it on the floor because it was under non-disclosure agreement, and they, wanted to protect their intellectual property. So we came up with the great idea that we're gonna get an RV, and we're gonna drive to Las Vegas, and we're gonna put this computer in the RV, and we're gonna invite media to come out from the trade show into the RV, and we'll have snacks and stuff like that. And we just kind of had this rolling thunder little thing for the RV, and it was a great PR strategy, and it worked very well, and we did that. As it turns out, if that is your idea of doing that, don't ever do that. Because that is, and this didn't occur to me at the time, but that is what's known as outboarding, which is a trade show term, which means you are sort of exhibiting at the show without supporting or paying the show organizer. So they're doing all the work to gather all the people. Let's put it in party terms. The organizer's paying for the keg, right? And you're drinking off the keg, but you didn't put any money in for the keg, right? Everybody understand that one now? So that's what outboarding is. They should call it out kegging or something, or I don't know. I'll come up with something for the next show by that one. But keep that outboarding and suitcasing thing in mind. Also, suitcasing, by the way, another trade show term that we're learning today on the program. Suitcasing is a trade show term that is about if you're walking around the trade show floor away from your booth space, handing out literature, or let's say it's no bad even if you do it if you're supporting the show. But let's say you're a manufacturer and you're not officially at the show, but you're handing out your brochures and you're meeting with people and you're taking advantage of the fact that you're at the trade show without paying for a booth. That's called suitcasing. Gets the term from you've got a suitcase and you're handing out stuff and your suitcase is like your booth presence. Also really frowned upon and really highly illegal, when it comes to trade show rules. So don't outboard and don't suitcase and don't do stuff like that, even though somebody might come to you and go, oh, it's a really good idea. It's not a really good idea. What is a really good idea is to support the show. The show helps everybody. It's, in the same way that, if you're drinking beer out of the keg, you need to pitch in for the keg. It's just it's simply put, it's just the right thing to do. And just make sure that you're doing it. So, back in the day, I get questions about premiums sometimes, about buttons and stickers and things like that. I think all that stuff can be really good as long as it's going somewhere and it's supporting a larger marketing strategy. I don't believe in just, creating things and not understanding why they're there. So you want to make really, really sure that when you're doing that stuff, that it's tied to your strategy, your plan. And that's how you make sure that you win at a trade show. Hey, you are tuned to May the Best Brand Win right here on InterTalk, the undisputed leader on music biz talk. Come on back in segment 3. We're going to talk about who's winning and losing in the wacky world of marketing. See you in a few.
Hey, it's Catherine from Listen Local Radio. Moe's Guitars has proudly served the San Diego music community since 1975. Specializing in guitars, basses, mandolins, banjos, and ukuleles, they buy, sell, trade, and consign. If you're looking for lessons, repairs, accessories, and cool gear, you found the right place. Located in downtown La Mesa Village, stop by and check out their digs or visit moesguitars.com or their Facebook page. mozeguitars.com, 619-698-1185.
Which sandwich is healthy and tasty? Which sandwich can come on bread or in a bowl? Which sandwich comes 51 different ways, so it's always your way? A which sandwich. Stop into our shop in Hazard Center. We're upstairs from the Hazard Center Digiplex. Bring in your movie ticket. We will add a free drink and chips to your sandwich order. Or order online at whichwich.com, and we will have it ready and waiting. WHICHWICH. Whichwich.com.
Has your business been appified? Are you tired of doing marketing that doesn't deliver results? Mobile apps build loyalty and quality retention. Your app from UPG Mobile puts your business on their mind and at their fingertips. UPG Mobile will give you a custom app highlighting how you are unique, targeting your message, and improving your open rates. Appify your business and amplify your presence with your customers at upgmobilemarketinggroup.com.
Have you ever wondered what it's like to record on a Grammy award-winning album? Have you ever wondered what it's like to play in front of a stadium crowd? Have you ever wondered what it's like to be on a world tour? I'm Jackie Bertoni, and I've played with the who's who in the music industry, and I've toured the world. Come join my world, Behind the Velvet Rope, and get into the groove on Jackie's Groove. Live 2 p.m. Mondays and available 24/7 on jackiesgroove.com.
Are you serious about your music? Are you ready to run with the big dogs? The experts at Pitbull Audio have the gear to get you into the game. From leading manufacturers like Mesa Boogie, Fender, Pioneer, and American Audio. To sound your best, you need the best. Pitbull Audio can deliver in rehearsal, on stage, and into the big time. Dropping beats, shredding guitar, or making the crowd roar. Whatever you dream, Pitbull Audio can help make it happen. We are Pitbull Audio. We want you to play it loud. PitbullAudio.com.
Hi, I'm Tim Dolbear, the host of Sound Experience on InterTalk Radio. Each week, I talk with top professional audio engineers, producers, musicians, and the manufacturers that make the tools that we use in the studio each and every day. From capturing the perfect take to mastering your final release, and the tools and how the pros use them, we are going to dive deep into their process and learn from their experience. I look forward to you joining us each week on Sound Experience with me, your host, Tim Dolbear.
May the best brand win with Scott Robertson's Music Biz Marketing Strategies. Now, here's your host, Scott Robertson.
Happy Friday. You are back, tuned to May the Best Brand Win on Intertalk Radio, the undisputed leader on Music Biz Talk. I am still, amazingly enough, Scott Robertson, your host, and with me on the air still is Paul B. How's it going?
Still here, going good.
Having a good one so far?
Yeah. Still a little jet-lagged from, I spent, like a week and a half over on the East Coast, so trying to adjust back, but getting there. Nice.
Do you like trade shows?
I do, yeah. Well, the music ones, definitely.
The music ones, yeah. Absolutely. That's what we're talking about today here on the show, folks. We're talking about mastering trade shows and special events. And in the first segment, we talked about, what they are, that kind of stuff, why do them. In segment 2, shared a little bit, the inside baseball kind of stuff about, stories from the field, and talked a little bit about Summer NAMM. This segment, segment 3, we always talk about, who's winning and losing out there. And there's always way more to talk about than we have time to talk. So let's dig right into it. First of all, I saw an interesting piece of communication this week that basically said that press releases are over. They're dying. An agency over in Belgium, which of course leads all communications thought, as you might imagine, it says that they're freeing themselves from the concept of press releases. Brand communication is so much more. Instead, we speak of stories. No matter if you're competing with press, bloggers, employers, we're talking about, we create brand stories. Brand stories. Bye-bye press release. Hello, brand stories. Okay, so brand stories, and this goes to my thoughts about brand journalism too. You're not killing press releases. And here's why. Because your brand stories are filled with a bunch of hubris and BS that press don't want, right? Can we speak frankly? All of your brand stories and your flowery language and your awesome, super cool language that you use in that gets deleted in 0.5 seconds by the actual press of this country. I don't know how we do it in Belgium, but here in the great States, the press release is still very useful. The press release is a hammer, okay? So every few years or something, somebody says, okay, well, press releases are going away. That's like saying you have a room full of nails sticking out and you're going to start pounding them with your shoe. It's like it's the best tool to do the job if done right. If you have a press release, it's simple, it's objective, it's clear, it has all the facts, it has accompanying visuals. It gives the media all the pieces they need to do their job. If they have to wade through your BS to get to it, it's not going to happen. Ladies and gentlemen of the communications world, I know journalists. They're cynical. They don't want to be impressed by your awesome command of prose and how clever you are. They just want the facts, right? Understand the world of a journalist. If you're in communications and you're working with journalists, you better be right locked in with the fact, with how they work and what they want. And they don't have time for that. So stop it. Anyway, let's talk about Facebook. So I would say that communication, by the way, about press releases is losing. Because press releases are fine, as long as they're not filled with too much hubris, as we discussed on a previous episode. Let's talk about Facebook. Facebook made some changes to the feed so that you'll see even more of your friends' posts and less posts from brands and pages. So brands, you're losing out there because Facebook. Now, why is this happening? This is really, really important. People are talking to Facebook and saying, I don't want to see all of this commercial, irrelevant garbage in my feeds. It's your fault, marketers. You're doing this. Your bad content is ruining it for everyone. Okay? Bad content, not thought through content, means everybody gets blocked. Everybody gets blocked because of you guys, right, out there that are doing it bad. It's your fault, okay? And it's your responsibility to fix it. If you're part of the problem and you're sending out bad sponsored posts, I hate sponsored posts, don't you? You know I hate them? Don't do sponsored posts. That's stuff. I hate that stuff. Your stuff should be good enough that it should be the content that people are trying to get to, not be the content that comes in front of the content that people actually want. Seriously, think about your strategy. Think. So important. So in these new changes to Facebook means that you're going to see, people want to see their friends' posts. Remember in the social media episode, we talked about social media, and the me is capital. They are interested not in the posts from the commercial companies. That's not why they're there. They're interested in who's doing what on Friday night, whose kid, just graduated from what high school or what college, whose kid's taking swim lessons. That's the content they're interested in. If you're going to penetrate that, then you better have something that's as interesting as that stuff for them. And Facebook's going to keep making these changes because they don't want to lose their audience of more than 1 billion human beings that are paying attention to their media outlet. So brands, you're losing out there. Let's talk about Snapchat. Man, Snapchat is winning. Continue to win. If you're a communications person and you are not playing around with Snapchat, you're behind. Get moving. Understand Snapchat. This is very, very important. They're talking about Snapchat as being a replacement next on the list under Facebook for Twitter. They're basically, the article that I was reading says that Twitter is dead, long live Snapchat, ? So when Twitter was launched in 2006, can you believe it's just been that long? Text on the net was really a big thing, and it was quick and instantaneous, 140-character limit, really enabled fast-track access to a wide variety of information. But today, most millennials, and this is proven, would rather watch a video about a subject or look at pictures at it than read about it. The trend line on reading is looking questionable. Not that we're not communicating, we're just communicating in a different way, right? Different skills, different tools, different things. So it's really, really important that you start to understand Snapchat. And not that I'm saying that you want to get on Snapchat and start selling and blasting your stuff all over the place, but you better start to understand how your brand can play a role, particularly with targeting millennials. But you're going to see this network continue to grow. Its growth numbers are exponential. They're massive growth for Snapchat. So pay attention to that. Let's talk about Android for a second. Android crowdsourced the name for its new version 7. And ladies and gentlemen, I give you Android Nougat. Nougat. That's what they came up with. That's what the crowd came up with. So some things probably shouldn't be crowdsourced. And I would say naming might be on that list. It's a terrible name. It's a terrible name. It's like calling it Android Moist. There's something wrong with the word moist, and there's actually something wrong with the word nougat. I don't know what it is exactly, but there's something wrong with the word. We have to explore that. We're going to have to explore that on the break perhaps as to what's wrong with nougat, but that's a terrible name. I mean, you have all the things in the world that you can call your next Android operating system, and you choose nougat? Really? That's losing. I'm sorry. All right, let's talk about Pepsi. Pepsi made a health conscious change, and they switched all their Diet Pepsi flavors now aspartame-free. And their sales went into the aspartame-filled toilet bowl because they lost a ton of sales off of it, and now they are switching back to aspartame. So they have quite a marketing challenge ahead of them because now they've told you how bad aspartame is for you. But the people, they want the aspartame, right? So now you've got a very tricky marketing challenge on your hands. Now, to save your sales, you have to feed them something that you know is going to kill them, right? It's a fascinating marketing challenge. I encourage you to look that one up. That's going to be fun for a long time to come. I think you will enjoy paying attention to that, especially a lot of people are making the reversal. They're talking about Coke and New Coke and back in the 80s, all the young people are like, there was a new Coke? Yes, there was a new Coke. Look it up in the history books, knock the dust off of it and look up the new Coke. But anyway, that's what's going on with Pepsi and aspartame. I would definitely say Pepsi is losing. I would definitely say Pepsi is losing money. And now they're losing because they have to have either multiple formulas, aspartame free, and with aspartame, or deadly in 20 years, not deadly in 20 years. You could create some cool logos around that, I think, too. That would be awesome. They're losing. Let's talk about KFC. KFC is just, I mean, how many Colonel Sanders are we going to see? They just hired actor George Hamilton to come in and replace Jim Gaffigan, who replaced the other guy that I forgot his name, Norm Macdonald, sorry, and who replaced Daryl Hammond. So we've seen, in the year 2016, we've seen like 5 or 6 different Colonel Sanders, right? Which, now you can say this is genius. You could say, it's not, or whatever. But I would say they're probably losing. I mean, you'd have to look at the sales numbers, to be honest. But to me, it's too much change too quickly, and not making a whole lot of sense. But I guess they want to just continuously surprise you with what's going on there. And the last thing I want to bring up is the Olympics. The Olympics are coming up. And man, could the communications train go any further off the tracks. Today they announced that there's not going to be any security for the Olympics. There's not going to be, they don't have money for security. There's not going to be any security. They don't have good sewage. The Zika virus is running wild. Olympics, get your PR people in a room and get control of the train. You are losing in a big way, and you're going to have a gigantic, monumental, global, colossal failure on your hands if you don't get in front of that train quickly. That's who's winning and losing this week. Come on back. We're going to give you some tips on how you can master these trade shows and special events yourself in the next segment. See you in a few.
Which sandwich is healthy and tasty? Which sandwich can come on bread or in a bowl? Which sandwich comes 51 different ways, so it's always your way? A which sandwich. Stop into our shop in Hazard Center. We're upstairs from the Hazard Center Digiplex. Bring in your movie ticket. We will add a free drink and chips to your sandwich order. Or order online at whichwich.com, and we will have it ready and waiting. WHICHWICH. Whichwich.com.
Has your business been appified? Are you tired of doing marketing that doesn't deliver results? Mobile apps build loyalty and quality retention. Your app from UPG Mobile puts your business on their mind and at their fingertips. UPG Mobile will give you a custom app highlighting how you are unique, targeting your message, and improving your open rates. Appify your business and amplify your presence with your customers at upgmobilemarketinggroup.com.
Hey, it's Catherine from Listen Local Radio. Moe's Guitars has proudly served the San Diego music community since 1975. Specializing in guitars, basses, mandolins, banjos, and ukuleles, they buy, sell, trade, and consign. If you're looking for lessons, repairs, accessories, and cool gear, you found the right place. Located in downtown La Mesa Village, stop by and check out their digs or visit moesguitars.com or their Facebook page. mozeguitars.com, 619-698-1185.
Are you serious about your music? Are you ready to run with the big dogs? The experts at Pitbull Audio have the gear to get you into the game. From leading manufacturers like Mesa Boogie, Fender, Pioneer, and American Audio. To sound your best, you need the best. Pitbull Audio can deliver in rehearsal, on stage, and into the big time. Dropping beats, shredding guitar, or making the crowd roar. Whatever you dream, Pitbull Audio can help make it happen. We are Pitbull Audio. We want you to play it loud. PitbullAudio.com.
Hi, I'm Tim Dolbear, the host of Sound Experience on Intertalk Radio. Each week, I talk with top professional audio engineers, producers, musicians, and the manufacturers that make the tools that we use in the studio each and every day. From capturing the perfect take to mastering your final release, and the tools and how the pros use them, we are going to dive deep into their process and learn from their experience. I look forward to you joining us each week on Sound Experience with me, your host, Tim Dolbear.
Have you ever wondered what it's like to record on a Grammy award-winning album? Have you ever wondered what it's like to play in front of a stadium crowd? Have you ever wondered what it's like to be on a world tour? I'm Jackie Bertoni, and I've played with the who's who in the music industry, and I've toured the world. Come join my world, Behind the Velvet Rope, and get into the groove on Jackie's Groove. Live 2 p.m. Mondays and available 24/7 on jackiesgroove.com.
May the best brand win with Scott Robertson's Music Biz Marketing Strategies. Now, here's your host, Scott Robertson.
You are tuned to segment 4. Happy Friday, happy Friday. You are still tuned, remarkably, to May the Best Brand Win on Intertalk Radio, the undisputed leader in music biz talk. I am still Scott, hanging in here all the way through the end of the show, amazingly. And doing the same thing back at Intertalk Studios and itching to get out of there probably is Paul B. How's it going, Paul?
Good. We're almost home.
Almost home. I like it. Paul's dialing in from the car. He's like, I'm in the car now. I'm driving home.
I got a really long stick to push the faders back here for my car.
That'd be awesome. I could see that. Well, good. Well, this episode, we have been talking a bit about mastering trade shows and special events. In the first segment, we talked about what they are. In the second segment, we kind of gave some stories from the field. Segment 3, we switched gears and talked about who's winning and losing. And believe me, I had 4 or 5 more that I didn't even get a chance to get to. So I may have to do those. I'll save those for next week. But here in segment 4, I like to make it all about you guys out there and give you a few tips on maximizing your communications, your public relations and communications at trade shows. A few things that I always make sure that my clients do and that you can do as well, that you can just steal right from me. It's great. Much the way I stole Media Preview Day from Comic-Con. Sorry, Comic-Con. Ours was actually better because what they did on that, just an aside, they let everybody in and called it Media Preview Day. That is not so much Media Preview Day as it is let's open the show a day early and the media can also attend, right? So we were like that. Instead of doing that, we decided to just let the media in early and just the media, to this one special section of the show. But anyway, I digress. Let's talk about how you can maximize your communications at trade shows. Tip number 1, plan. Plan in advance. Have a plan. Have a written plan that has, objectives and strategies and tactics and how we're going to measure it. Are we going to measure it in terms of how many orders that we fulfill at the show? Are we going to measure it in terms of how many media impressions that we generate? Are we going to measure it in terms of how many, deals are we able to, that we sign up, additional deals other than just, straight product orders, strategic partnerships and those type of deals? Just make sure that you have a plan and that you are able to execute it and measure it. Tip number 2. Make sure everybody at your company is working with the show organizers on the many, 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 many free opportunities to communicate what you're doing. So many exhibitors leave opportunity on the table here. I don't know if it's because they're just busy or they just don't know or what have you, but don't do that. You've got just as good a shot as anybody else at getting your product in a media preview day, into the show daily, in doing all these things where you can get your unfair share of media coverage at the show. All you have to do is just follow up and follow up early. A lot of deadlines for things in trade shows are months in advance. Make sure that you understand your deadlines, not just your exhibition contract deadlines with the show organizers, but, have a conversation with the communications staff. Do you know that the communications staff loves to talk to exhibitors? They love to talk to exhibitors because they need to, they need stories. And the show only has so many stories to tell. So you're going to need your exhibitors to, bring some stories to you that are fantastic. So they want to hear from you. So make sure that you reach out to them and you're having conversations about them. And if they put out literature in the exhibitor manual about here's 10 free opportunities to promote your brand at the show, make sure you do all 10. Do them twice. Do them. Seriously. Knock all of those out. That's just low-hanging fruit, man. Make sure that you're doing that stuff. And that can be anything from, again, we talked about media previews. We talked about the show daily. We talked about the mobile app. Anywhere that you can promote yourself that looks good, that will further your objectives, make sure that you're doing that. Tip number 3, know your media badges at the show. If you're PR and comms, we're talking about from a maximizing communications perspective. Know who's who by their badge color or by their badge, different shows do it different ways. But like at the NAMM shows, the media badges all say press media on them, and they are clear. They don't have a color on them. So if you see a non-colored badge and it says press media, there you go. That's how to spot them. Make sure you know them. Make sure that your booth staff and everybody on the show floor, remember, they're now a touch point for your brand. Make sure they know what to do. If a media person from the Wall Street Journal comes into your booth, how do you handle it? Who talks to them? What are the rules? What do we want to have PR talking to them? We do. We absolutely do. That is the person that you want to have talking to those people if you can, because there are nuances about what they're looking for. And again, it is literally their job to be talking to those media people. So make sure that's always happening. And also while I'm talking about that, good companies that I see, they have a plan for every type of media badge that walks in. If it's a dealer that comes in, you identify, oh great, okay, it's Bob and he's from a music store, that kind of thing. Well then, he needs to go through this path, and he needs to talk to our rep over here, and he's from this part of the country. Great. Well, then he talks to this rep, right? Your front desk or all your customer service folks that are working the booth all need to be extremely well versed in how they handle the different types of people that come up. Is it just a show visitor? And I say just a show visitor, but is it a show visitor? Well, then there's a special way that you handle them too, and they can be really important. Believe me, there are a lot of people walking around the show in visitor badges that are pretty important people. When at the NAMM show, we let Robert Downey Jr., Iron Man, walk around the show in a visitor badge that said Robert on it, right? So there's plenty of stories like that. So make sure make sure you don't just discount that it's just a visitor and that kind of thing. Make sure you have a process for how you deal with those people. Let's talk about press materials for a second. Make sure your press materials are available online, along with very good artwork, and hopefully, if you have videos, great, all the better. Again, we're talking about a very visual world here, right? So the artwork and the videos actually kind of supersede the words in some cases. Make sure that your online press room for your company is doing that. And if you're a small company, you know what? You have the time to create you should have press materials. The press want to cover you, and you don't always have to advertise in the magazine. We talked about the difference between paid and earned last week. You don't always have to advertise in the magazine to get that done. So, make sure you're taking advantage of all of your opportunities. You would just be amazed at how many people don't. I would say at the NAMM show, and I would just from being in show management for a while, I would say that more than 75% of exhibitors don't take advantage of the opportunities that are presented to them. And you're like, oh, Scott, that's a really high number. How can that be? Live it. What can I tell you? It's the truth. The truth will set you free. You know what I mean? It's like don't do it. There's no reason that should be happening, but it does happen. So make sure that you're not among those people. And I know it's not the most burning thing on your to-do list. I understand that. But if you're in PR and comms, it should be the most burning thing on your to-do list. Make sure it gets done. The last thing I want to say is make sure you have fun. These events are supposed to be fun. Fun face-to-face interactions can be powerful. You can do things for your company that you've never done before, that you're not going to be able to do via email or any other way. Make sure that you don't miss the opportunity to have fun. Exhibiting at trade shows and creating special events are great ways for brands to get a little bit of the spotlight on them for a bit of time. Don't let sales dominate everything. Get in there with communications and make sure your PR and your social media are there to create a solid and effective presence for your brand. If you do that, you're really going to make sure that your events, aren't just a date on the calendar. You're going to make sure that your events truly, truly rock. And you know what? I think that's just about it for me. Until next week, at least, have a wonderful and safe 4th of July weekend. And we're going to see you back here in about a week to dig into this stuff again. Have a good one. Thanks.
Hi, I'm Tim Dolbear, the host of Sound Experience on Intertalk Radio. Each week, I talk with top professional audio engineers, producers, musicians, and the manufacturers that make the tools that we use in the studio each and every day. From capturing the perfect take to mastering your final release, and the tools and how the pros use them, we are going to dive deep into their process and learn from their experience. I look forward to you joining us each week on Sound Experience with me, your host, Tim Dolbear.
Which sandwich is healthy and tasty? Which sandwich can come on bread or in a bowl? Which sandwich comes 51 different ways, so it's always your way? A which sandwich. Stop into our shop in Hazard Center. We're upstairs from the Hazard Center Digiplex. Bring in your movie ticket. We will add a free drink and chips to your sandwich order. Or order online at which.com, and we will have it ready and waiting. WHICH, which.com.
Has your business been appified? Are you tired of doing marketing that doesn't deliver results? Mobile apps build loyalty and quality retention. Your app from UPG Mobile puts your business on their mind and at their fingertips. UPG Mobile will give you a custom app highlighting how you are unique, targeting your message, and improving your open rates. Appify your business and amplify your presence with your customers at upgmobilemarketinggroup.com.
Have you ever wondered what it's like to record on a Grammy award-winning album? Have you ever wondered what it's like to play in front of a stadium crowd? Have you ever wondered what it's like to be on a world tour? I'm Jackie Bertoni, and I've played with the who's who in the music industry, and I've toured the world. Come join my world, behind the velvet rope, and get into the groove on Jackie's Groove. Live 2 p.m. Mondays and available 24/7 on jackiesgroove.com.
Hey, it's Catherine from Listen Local Radio. Moe's Guitars has proudly served the San Diego music community since 1975. Specializing in guitars, basses, mandolins, banjos, and ukuleles, they buy, sell, trade, and consign. If you're looking for lessons, repairs, accessories, and cool gear, you found the right place. Located in downtown La Mesa Village, stop by and check out their digs or visit mozguitars.com or their Facebook page. mozeguitars.com, 619-698-1185.
Are you serious about your music? Are you ready to run with the big dogs? The experts at Pitbull Audio have the gear to get you into the game. From leading manufacturers like Mesa Boogie, Fender, Pioneer, and American Audio. To sound your best, you need the best. Pitbull Audio can deliver in rehearsal, on stage, and into the big time. Dropping beats, shredding guitar, or making the crowd roar. Whatever you dream, Pitbull Audio can help make it happen. We are Pitbull Audio. We want you to play it loud. PitbullAudio.com.